If you've ever stood in your garden wondering why your plants look tired no matter how much compost you add, today's guide is for you. Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to the Evergreen Garden channel and drop a comment below telling me what you're growing this season, because this is one of those soil fixes that serious gardeners come back to again and again. Now let's get straight into it, because this single inexpensive ingredient can completely change how your soil behaves in a matter of days, not months. Why most garden soil is asleep even when it looks rich. Many gardeners assume that dark soil automatically means healthy soil, but that's not always true. Soil can be full of organic matter and still be biologically inactive. When soil microbes are starved of quick energy, they slow down. When they slow down, nutrients stay locked up, roots struggle, and plants grow as if they're constantly hungry. This is especially common in gardens that rely heavily on dry compost, leaf mold, or aged manure without enough microbial stimulation. The soil looks fine, but it isn't alive in the way plants need it to be. The cheap ingredient that flips the biological switch. So the ingredient we're talking about is unsulfured molasses, which is actually the same type you'll often find in grocery stores or maybe even animal feed shops. Now, molasses isn't a fertilizer in the traditional sense, and it doesn't actually feed your plants directly. What it does instead is feed the soil life, the very organisms that in turn nourish your plants. It's packed with simple sugars and trace minerals, which soil bacteria and fungi can use right away. When these microbes get that sudden energy source, they multiply really quickly, and that burst in activity helps release nutrients that are already present in your soil. So, let's talk about how molasses changes soil behavior at the root level. Once those microbes become active, they start breaking down organic matter much more efficiently. Nitrogen becomes more available, phosphorus moves more freely, and those micronutrients stop acting like they're glued to soil particles. Fungi extend their networks and trade nutrients with plant roots. Bacteria form colonies around the rhizosphere, protecting roots from disease while improving nutrient uptake. This is why gardeners often notice greener leaves and faster growth within a week of applying molasses, even though they didn't add any traditional fertilizer. How to mix and apply molasses the right way. The most reliable ratio for garden use is 1 tablespoon of unsulfured molasses per gallon of water. This dilution is strong enough to wake up microbes without overwhelming the soil. So, stir it thoroughly until it's fully dissolved, especially if the molasses is, on the thicker side. Then apply this mixture directly to the soil, not the leaves, using a watering can or a sprayer with a wide opening. For garden beds, 1 gallon typically covers about 10 square feet of soil. And for container plants, just pour slowly until you see water begin to drain from the bottom. When and how often should serious gardeners use it? Well, molasses works best when soil temperatures are warm enough for microbial activity, usually above 55 degrees Fahrenheit or 13 degrees Celsius. Early spring, mid-season and early fall are ideal times. For struggling beds, applying once every 3 to 4 weeks is plenty. More is not better. Overuse can cause microbes to consume oxygen in the soil too quickly, creating temporary imbalances. Think of molasses as a spark, not a constant fuel source. Using molasses with compost and organic matter is honestly one of the most effective ways to boost your results. One of the most effective ways to use molasses is alongside compost applications. After spreading compost on a bed, you'll want to water it in with a molasses solution at the standard 1 tablespoon per gallon ratio. This encourages microbes to move from the soil into the fresh compost layer, breaking it down faster and integrating nutrients into the root zone. Gardeners often notice that compost seems to disappear into the soil instead of sitting on the surface for weeks. Here are some practical examples from real garden situations. In vegetable beds that showed yellowing leaves, even though they were regularly fed, a single molasses application followed by deep watering often corrected the issue within about 10 days. In cases of compacted soil, gardeners noticed an improved crumb structure after just 2 applications, spaced roughly a month apart. In raised beds that had become pretty lifeless after years of planting, molasses actually brought back earthworms, which honestly is always a clear sign that soil biology is on the mend. One of the most common mistakes, and honestly something that can really reduce your results, is using sulfured molasses. You see, sulfur dioxide is used in processing, and it can actually harm those beneficial microbes you're hoping to nurture. Another mistake, and it's a big one, is mixing molasses with strong synthetic fertilizers or pesticides. Doing this can kill off the very organisms you're trying to feed, so it's best to just let nature do its work. Molasses, really shines in organic or low-input systems where microbes are allowed to thrive without interference. That's when you'll see the best results. So why does this method stay effective year after year? Well, unlike those quick-fix fertilizers that only push growth for a short while, molasses actually strengthens the soil ecosystem itself. Over time, gardens treated correctly develop better nutrient cycling, improve water retention, and, stronger plant resilience. This makes the method evergreen, reliable, and honestly adaptable to vegetables, fruit trees, herbs, and ornamental beds alike. Healthy soil isn't about adding more products, it's about activating what's already there. If this guide helped you understand your soil on a deeper level, do subscribe to Evergreen Garden, share this video with another gardener who's struggling, and leave a comment below telling me if you've tried molasses or if you're planning to. Your soil will thank you for it.